Hello there! My name's Bingo. I'm the principal of Duke Language School and also the author of Read Thai in 10 Days by Bingo Lingo. So this is me in the flesh. After seeing so many Thai teaching videos on YouTube, I am now inspired to do videos of my own. This will be my first attempt at YouTube, so please go easy on me. One thing that I've noticed though from the online teaching resources is the disproportionate lack of lessons on Thai final particles, so I want to fill this gap. If you don't know what a final particle is, I'll explain. Final particles are tiny little words, usually only one syllable long, placed at the end of the sentence. Notable examples are na, si, ngai, ro, ra, etc. They generally do not have direct translation, but rather a function. For instance, some of them can be used to achieve certain outcomes, such as making a request or a suggestion, while others can be used to express the speaker's feelings, attitudes, or intentions. Final particles can serve as the context of conversation. By interpreting the speaker's thoughts and ideas, you can get a better grasp of what's being said when not much information is given. They're just very handy in a culture that beats around the bush like Thai. Am I right? But they are some of the hardest aspects for Thai language learners to master, precisely because of their implicit nature. Learners can't really get a direct translation. You're supposed to feel it. You might hear Thai people use final particles a lot, but most of us would struggle to explain to you how to use them. Well, in a series of videos on our channel, I will attempt to do just that. I mean, to explain, not to struggle. In my professional opinion, the ability to understand and to use Thai final particles are essential in order to move up beyond the survival stage. They're kind of like, a rite of passage that marks you as a true Thai speaker when you can understand them reasonably well. Well, your Thai might be functional, but it's the good command of final particles that makes your Thai sounds natural, and it's this naturality that might just convince native speakers that you actually get their language. It can make it less likely for Thai people to switch to English when speaking to you, which I know is very frustrating. Well, here's a disclaimer. A lot of what I'm about to teach you mostly comes from my own experience and observation rather than basing on empirical researches, because Thai final particles are poorly understood and there are not a lot of studies on them. For that reason, I'm sure that whatever conclusion I've drawn for each of them, there will be situations where it just doesn't work. Also, other native speakers might disagree with me on some parts, which is fine. I don't claim to have it all figured out, so please take it with a pinch of salt. So, keep it in mind that although I will try my best to do this, my hypotheses and ideas are not really foolproof. If you try and use the final particle the way I've taught, but a Thai person tells you it sounds weird, maybe ask them why and what will sound better instead. But also cross-check with other Thai people just to be sure. We're quite polarized on the topic. You shouldn't be afraid to try to use them though. I mean, what's the worst thing that can happen? Have I managed to get you on board? If yes, let's start with kráp, ka, and ka. Now, I can see some of you rolling your eyes. It's been done to death, teach us something else. However, I want this series to be comprehensive and it wouldn't be complete without mentioning them first. They're kind of a big deal. Besides, it's my video. I do what I want. Let's start with their origins. Kráp is a corrupt form of korab, which is roughly translated as I shall humbly receive. It was used by royal servants in the palaces back in the day as an affirmative response to the lords and the ladies' commands. These days though, it is known as the male polite particle. In the modern time, it's almost always pronounced kráp without the r sound in colloquial Thai. You might have heard its variations such as kráp or ha and so on. On the other hand, ka and ka may have derived from the word ka, meaning slave or servant, which in turn came to be the archaic form of the pronoun I. You can still hear it being used in Thai period dramas, such as in a phrase like พระเจ้าข้า meaning my lord. It was the men who started using them, but now these two words belong to the women as female polite particles. Ka is pronounced with a falling tone while ka is pronounced with a high tone. Ka's variations are such as ka or ka, whereas ka's variations are such as ka or ka. So why are there two polite particles for women? We'll get there in a bit. While men can use kráp in any kind of situations, women have to juggle between ka and ka. Sorry, ladies. It's commonly taught to foreigners that ka is mostly used in statements, while ka is mostly used in questions. If only it were that easy. While it's true that ka is used primarily in an interrogative sense.
สบายดีไหมคะเหรอคะชื่อลินดาค่ะคุณล่ะคะ
However, when used in conjunction with certain other final particles, you'll be required to say ka instead of ka. These are mainly the ones that express uncertainty, instruction, suggestion, and explanation.
เขามาพรุ่งนี้มั้งคะเอาไม่เผ็ดนะคะลองสิคะเป็นแบบนี้ไงคะ
A bit vague and confusing? Well, just remember that you always say ka after the following final particles: mang, na, si, ngai. Remember that well because it sounds really off to say mang ka, si ka, na ka, ngai ka. You can use ka when you're trying to get someone's attention or address someone's name.
คุณสมชายคะรอก่อนน้องคะสั่งอาหารด้วย
Now, about their placement. Final particles, as the name suggests, are put at the end of the sentence, but there's kind of like a hierarchy to it. Some words have to go before or after some other words. But kráp, ka, and ka sit comfortably on the throne of finality. They go right to the end. Let's finally talk about how to use these three words. Thai people put kráp, ka, and ka at the end of the sentence to show politeness. So to whom do you need to be polite? Well, it's generally the people that you have to respect. This can be people who are older than you, your boss, your senior colleagues, or people in the profession of prestige, such as teachers, doctors, government officers. พี่สวัสดีครับ
ขอบคุณค่ะคุณหมอขอคุยกับหัวหน้าได้ไหมคะ
ให้วีซ่าผมนะครับคุณเจ้าหน้าที่ You don't always have to use polite particles with people you're kind of close to though. Thais don't usually say kráp, ka, and ka with their close friends or partner either. Some Thais don't even use kráp, ka, and ka with their older relatives. It depends on the dynamic of their relationship, really. I don't even say kráp with my mom and my dad because I'm a bad son. Also, observe what kind of person you're dealing with and how they generally interact with people around them. Are they casual or are they uptight? Do other people feel relaxed around them or do they always walk on eggshells? This will give you clues. But when in doubt, just use them. Thai people also use polite particles to show formality. When you talk to someone you don't really know, you should always use kráp, ka, and ka, even if they're younger than you, to show that you respect their social boundaries. Nobody likes people who assume intimacy, right? ขอถามทางหน่อยครับ
อันนี้เท่าไหร่คะ
But with little kids, don't. It's weird. Formality also refers to the setting of the conversation as well. No matter how close you are to your friend, if you have to address them in a big company meeting or in a formal seminar, you should always address them in a polite and formal manner, as if you don't know them. เฮ้ยชายไปกินข้าวไหมคุณวุฒิชัยคิดยังไงเกี่ยวกับประเด็นนี้ครับ Don't get all chummy with your mates in front of such an audience. There's another use for polite particles to say yes and no. Instead of saying ใช่ไม่ใช่ all the time, which is incorrect by the way, try to respond to yes no questions with ครับค่ะ and ไม่ครับไม่ค่ะ instead.
ชอบอาหารไทยไหมคะ
ครับ คุณรักผมไหมครับ
ไม่ค่ะ ไม่ค่ะ
Well, but obviously, if you don't speak politely with someone, you can't really use polite particles as yes and no either. Another question I get asked a lot is, do you have to end every sentence with these polite particles? The answer is no, you don't have to.
สวัสดีค่ะ สบายดีไหมคะ ฉันชื่อลินค่ะ เป็นคนจีนค่ะ ค่ะค่ะค่ะ
It actually sounds quite repetitive and annoying. So, how often then? While I can't provide you with the golden ratio, maybe try to stick to 50 to 70% of the time. Be aware that I'm just pulling these numbers out of thin air. So maybe try to observe when and how often Thai people use them and try to imitate, perhaps. So, that concludes our first lesson on Thai final particles. Even if you're already familiar with them, I hope you have learned something new from my video. If you have any question regarding the final particles, just leave your questions in the comment below. I'll probably be making more of these lessons soon, so click subscribe, and when the new ones come out, you won't miss them. Happy learning! Okay, bye!